I think I'm live. Is my mic on? I hope so. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good weekend. Whenever you're watching this, Professor Matthews learning about movies. The channel just passed 40,000 subscribers. Thanks to everyone who's watched, supported, liked, done anything for this channel. Discord people, really appreciate you all. So here we go. This is May 2023. Finally, it's spring where I live. The snow melted about 3 weeks ago. And we're going to look at recommendations from streaming services. I'm going to try to give you movies to watch for the summer, even just this month, and take a hard look at, or a quick look, I don't know, and just shoot off the cuff about great movies. Because right now, everybody ever can watch just good movies. We have every movie ever made in front of us, and it's just a choice. Which good movie do we want to watch? We can skip all the bad ones, hopefully. Yeah. So welcome. Put your stuff in the chat. And by the way, in the chat, I have ways to support the channel. I do like this stuff. I only promote things I like. Excuse me. Very quickly, then. Oh, sorry. What a show. Very quickly, Movie Palette. I like this. They sent it to me. So the discount code is SAY15, SAY15, 15% off. You get any movie you want, seemingly. And so here you can put it in your room. It's a great gift. I got the movie Say Anything. I asked them for that because I teach it. And it may look like there's nothing here, or it may just look like strips of light because it's all the frames in the movie sort of jam-packed into this spectrum. I learned a lot from actually looking at this, so we'll learn about movies. I can learn something about the movie. I did not notice several things about the movie Say Anything here. So anyway, Movie Palette. It's 50% off now and stuff. Clearance sale. I think most of these are 50% off. Then you get, I think, 15% off on top of 50% off, whatever that is. So I was looking at these. This is nice. Great. And then I saw Twilight down here. I'm like, is Twilight just green and black all the way through? So anyway, check that out if you like that. Oh, yeah, I'm not sharing my screen. What a genius I am. Thank you very much. That's how great of a performer I am. There we go. Movie Palette. I like these. So there is a clearance sale. You can go to moviepalette.com. Thanks a lot. There's the Say Anything one. Scoot over here. So there's that, and then I have a Substack, which I skipped last week because I was so busy and various tiny health issues. But I've been writing, and I did an off-topic thing the other day about what I think about ChatGPT. But mostly I've been doing odds and ends, things I like to do on Substack. So you can subscribe for free, and or that's it's the best way to donate. I know people do super chat or whatever, but I get most of the cut here from Substack, and I really do enjoy when I have the time writing. And so if you like anything from my Substack, let me know what you like, because I'll probably just do more of it. Right now I'm just doing stuff I like. So what I want to get to, this is what I like to do. You don't have to have these streaming services, but the two I really like at the moment, and I subscribe to myself. They do not sponsor me. By the way, I'm not sponsored by anybody. Movie Palette does give me a cut of stuff, but other than that, I'm not sponsored. Criterion Channel. The streaming service. I like Criterion. I like the curation. I like most of their artwork. I like most of their collections. And so what I do, as most of you know, is I check out what's leaving the channel. It's a way of sort of winnowing or narrowing down selections. Although I did notice there's the Elephant Man added to the channel. And Days of Heaven by Malick. And the Infernal Affairs trilogy, which I just started to watch. I watched the first one, so here it is. I decided, well, I'll just go through this collection. I have not seen them. And when I did my Departed video, Scorsese's movie, The Departed, which I really like, strongly recommend for a lot of people, that I was told, the Infernal Affairs 1, this Hong Kong movie, the first one, which The Departed is based on, is better. And my opinion is that Infernal Affairs 1 and Departed, I just love the bare bones plot of it. I love the ideas in it. And I think they're just two different flavors of a similar bare bones plot. So I don't have a judgment whether one is better than the other. I think both are quite affecting. And that testifies to Scorsese, remaking it in a way that, really did well and keeping what was good about the original. So what's leaving Criterion Channel? I'm going to check that out. It does look like Days of Heaven is on there, and if you have not seen that, I have a video on the channel. An absolutely beautiful movie, and one of the best voiceover narrators ever. This movie shows the way, along with Malick's Badlands, so Malick's first two movies in the 1970s, how to use the voiceover narrator really well. An ambiguous, unreliable, perhaps, narrator, which I really like that kind of thing. Let me get in the box here. Really like that kind of thing. Most voiceover narrators are too heavy-handed. They even tell you what's on the screen too much. These are different. So that's a beautiful movie, one of the best movies still cinematographically ever. Among the rest of these, Heaven's Gate, a lot of people like that movie. It was a total disaster, total bomb at the box office. Check out Roger Ebert's original review. He blasts it. I like parts of it. I think it's pretty incoherent, mostly as an overall sort of Lawrence of Arabia going west tale. You know, it's worth pursuing for some of you, but you have to know you may not like the plot or it may seem incoherent. That's my opinion of that movie. It's a good-looking movie, and it's a Western tale set in the 1880s, maybe. I forget where, Colorado, Wyoming, maybe. So check that out, because it's an oddity in film history, because it's such a total disaster of a movie back in 1980. I probably shouldn't like it, because it's too much sex for me, but Body Heat, I think that's a great noir, and there's very few of them that are great, you know, from 1970 onward. There are many, but not that many compared to the 1940s and 50s. So Body Heat is one of those. It's a, I guess, neo-noir? I don't know. And Touch of Evil is a good classic noir, so you can get your two there, which I really love this Welles movie. If you haven't seen an Orson Welles movie besides Citizen Kane, Touch of Evil probably is the one to try. It stars Charlton Heston. It's about U.S.-Mexico border crossings, border relations. So that's an interesting, still contemporary topic. Welles looks awful in this as sort of a horrible policeman. Is he a sheriff or a detective? I can't remember. I mean, it has one of the most famous opening shots ever. Still a remarkable opening shot. Unbelievable, really. So Touch of Evil, for those of you who want to make videos, is just good enough. But I really like that movie to watch. Itself. So I did a Orson Welles video long ago. It probably looks terrible in my old phase of the channel, but I still love Welles a lot. By the way, there's some great questions I see popping up in the chat. We'll get to those in a little bit. Now, if you see any on here you like, put them in the chat, because the chat is always rich. And if anybody wants to have extra voices, extra help, a lot of great people watching this channel can help tell you what to watch that I can't. You know, there's a couple Lubitsch movies on here. I have not seen the Douglas Sirk movie. I know that Criterion promotes him. I just have not gotten to him yet. I looked at all this. I don't think there's much more, although down here I did wanted to highlight something. Let's see if I can find it. Oh gosh, they've added more since yesterday. There's Metropolis sitting there, the full version. People like The Great Silence. That's a Corbucci Western that Tarantino really likes, apparently, because The Hateful Eight quotes it quite a bit, I think. I am not a love. So my giant problem, I wonder if you have this too, with these Italian movies, is the dubbing really takes me out of the movie, of the scenario. I would say it dehypnotizes me. The dubbing is pretty bad. If it's done well, dubbing is fine, but, you know, in these older Italian movies, and that's really from whenever, the 30s to the 80s, 70s at least, these Italian movies, man, the dubbing is hard for me to just get into the movie. So this one was particularly tough. The one I wanted to highlight, I have done some children's movie videos on this channel. I haven't mentioned it in a long time. April and the Extraordinary World. If you like steampunk, and if you like really arresting visuals, I honestly cannot remember the plot of this movie very well, but I thought it was a good movie to watch with my children. when they were 8 to 10 years old. Maybe a little intense for that age, but I don't think so. And I love the steampunk visuals. It's a French movie that I wonder if the graphic novel's any good. I'm staring at, it was born from the imagination of a graphic novelist. I wonder if the graphic novel is better, and yet I really did quite like this. It looks like they have, and I don't know the difference, an American version that's probably American dubbing, or, just like they do with the Miyazaki movies, have famous actors say the lines, or the French version. So which one do you prefer? You can take your pick. I think that movie is worth pursuing for many, many of you. Anybody who likes anime, try it out, and so on. So there you go. Boy, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff here. The stuff I have not tried, so I wonder if you guys like this too. Then I switched to this because it's slightly different, but I did subscribe for a year. They gave a great deal during Christmas time. So by the way, check out these channels out at Christmas because they're giving stuff away. Totally different list, HBO Max. Perplexingly, the streaming service is changing its name to Max. They're cutting out the HBO. From a consumer standpoint, that makes no sense to me. HBO is a brand. It's a well-acclaimed brand. They have high status, and they have since 1981 or 2 or whatever. In fact, the first movie I can remember watching, probably the second movie I remember watching, I remember The Jungle Book in a movie theater in the early 1980s, but as a 4 or 5-year-old watching Return of the Jedi, after it had come out on HBO. My dad got a free subscription to it, like in 1984 or something like that. So HBO, it's been around a while. People still know it as, it's got great stuff on it. Why are they getting rid of HBO? Makes zero sense to me, a subscriber and consumer. So there you go. But maybe it does for them for a business purpose, although they're really spending a lot on marketing to tell us this. Here's their list of what they just added. I don't think they have what's leaving, by the way, just added. So I haven't looked at this too hard. I did glance at it earlier. The one I remember, Calvary, and that's a hard movie by one of the McDonough brothers. Is it John Michael McDonough, who wrote and directed it? Martin McDonough being his brother, who I absolutely love. Great movie, Calvary. I have people who are religious, let's say. They like philosophy. They like this movie. About a priest who is told... What is the plot of this movie now? A priest who is told he is going to be killed? I think that's the plot. During a confessional. So he's living with that, and throughout the movie thinking about that. Coffee and Cigarettes. I went through Jim Jarmusch's filmography. I made a couple of videos. They'll come out in August. I really like this as an anthology, black and white anthology movie that spans Jarmusch's late 80s through about late 90s career. He made a couple of shorts. He put them at the beginning of this movie, and then he combines them with other stuff he filmed in the late 1990s. Some great vignettes which combine weird actors or actors who juxtapose with each other very interestingly. The one I remember is Tom Waits and Iggy Pop. there's like a 5-minute deal with them. There's Cate Blanchett playing 2 parts and talking to herself in this movie in a vignette. Alfred Molina, and I forget somebody else. Really well done movie. I like his anthology movies, Jarmusch. So Coffee and Cigarettes. Also, if you like black and white. Boy, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm not sure what to tell you to watch. I mean, those are 2 good ones. Some of these I haven't seen in a long time. Have you seen any of these recently? Boy, oh boy. Conspiracy Theory. I remember semi-liking that movie when it came out, but I do like conspiracy theory movies. Oh, Goodfellas is here. Oh, they just added to this like an hour ago, because I looked at it an hour ago. The one I've said this before, maybe a few months ago, I like Deep Cover. It's a movie I did not ever hear about in the 1990s. It's like a 1992-93 noir. Lawrence Fishburne stars as a detective. Who is the director here? He's in the movie Predator. I can't remember I should remember his name. I'm very sorry. Very, very well directed movie. If you like noirs and you're trying to discover a 90s movie that maybe you haven't seen, this is a one I would probably choose. It's certainly for me that was the case. So, there you go. Boy, there's a bunch of stuff here. I mean, these two channels are all you need. Why subscribe? I'm sorry, Netflix, but why was anybody subscribe to them? Yeah, they've added to this list since an hour. So anyway, there's all that. I don't want to talk about all these, but there's so many pretty good ones here. It's unbelievable. No, Bill Duke. Thank you. Bill Duke was in Predator. He was a very good director, in my opinion. Really thoughtful director. The last thing I'll show you, some of you know this, I do Letterboxd, right? So that's a social site. If you don't know, sign up, follow me. I'll check your stuff out. I'll give you likes, follow you. You know, if I have the time and can pay attention. Sometimes it doesn't happen, so sorry about that. This is what I watched recently on Letterboxd and logged. The one I would recommend to people, make sure you watch Anatomy of a Murder. Very modern movie, in my opinion. Even though it's 1959, some people, like some of my students, may be turned off by the age of the movie. It's a gritty, realistic movie. And not maybe in the sense of its portrayal of a courtroom drama, because most of this movie, about an hour and a half of its 2-hour, 40-minute runtime, is courtroom drama, but its issues, which it seems to predict so many of the show trials, famous trials from the late 20th to the 21st century. I remember watching, obviously, so stupid maybe, the Johnny Depp trial, and the showmanship and the performance aspect of that trial. You watch Anatomy of the Murder, and it's talking about that openly, as in American legal system is really, a lot of it fundamentally is performance-based and influence-based in terms of, it's almost like marketing, PR stuff. So it's a cynical movie in a way. I don't think lawyers would like it, probably because it may not be even close to being realistic in terms of its courtroom drama. I think some of it's so over the top and ridiculous, no one will allow lawyers to act like this. And yet, the ideas in it are really, and the performances, Jimmy Stewart, George C. Scott, one of his first performances, is great as this eagle-eyed prosecutor, and on and on and on. So it's a movie I watched about 20 years ago. I didn't like it that much at the time. Now I do, as an old man. I think it's really good. So I would highlight that one for you. Among all the ones I've seen, some of these I watched for class, others I watched just for fun. I probably mentioned a few. So anyway, there's that. And that was 17 minutes of recommendations. What do you think about these, by the way? Let me know. I did watch Z-League. I thought that was a really good Woody Allen movie, but it's not for everybody. The flavor here is that it's a pseudo PBS documentary. You may know this, where the character is Forrest Gump-like, but this is before Forrest Gump, where this Woody Allen Z-League character is in the 1920s and basically meets with everybody who's everybody from the 20s to the 40s. He even stops Hitler at one point. And this movie sort of predicts what Tarantino will do, which plays around with alternative history. It messes with all kinds of cultural phenomenon. And I'm not a fan of Woody Allen the person, but Woody Allen the thinker, the philosopher. This is a thoughtful movie, but again, as a pseudo PBS documentary, it's not for everybody, surely. You'd have to understand what it's doing and even get into the mode of the movie. If you don't like the 1920s at all or old stuff, this is not going to be for you. But I'll mention it because I had not seen it and I thought it was pretty good. Actually, quite good. One of Allen's best, in my opinion, because it's so clever. There you go. You can read my reviews there. I mean, I can say some of this stuff in my reviews, so this may be helpful to you looking yourself for movies or for your family. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Let's take a look at what you have to say. I will interact with you and the chat, which I love to do. It's like the greatest classroom ever. As a teacher, like students who are interested in the subject matter, that's fantastic. So I'll look at the chat now. Check it out. Let me bring in the box over here. Let's see. I'll do it this way. By the way, I hope you all are well. I was struggling with like severe vertigo for a month. Oh my gosh. I think it was just a virus in my vestibular inner ear system. But man, that thing knocked me out. It was bad. So I didn't get to write as much on Substack as I would have liked. Thank you to everyone who's commenting, by the way. I am great. Hello, Creative. Where are you from, Creative Child? Is that Arabic? I think it is. I can't quite see it. 200 Watt Studio Super Chat. What are your favorite foreign films? Foreign meaning non-US, right? Oh gosh, that's a humongous, gigantic, massive question. You know, I've always given this answer for 3+ years in this channel. Kieslowski and Kurosawa, Polish director Kieslowski, Kurosawa, Japanese director. I've always loved the two of them. Whenever I first discovered them, Kurosawa 25 years ago at least. And, you know, I would start, if I were you, I would start with those two. Kurosawa in particular is accessible to anybody in the world, I think. Still to Western audiences, I'm sure to Eastern audiences, and everybody, and anybody in between or anywhere else. There may be still universal stories, even though they can be really Japanese. And so that's what I would, and I'm talking in terms of recommendations. Favorite foreign films. And yeah, what else? You know, and why? So on Letterboxd, for example, I do, and I haven't curated it well, but I've kept a list of my favorite movies, and then I've kept a list of movies I would recommend to nearly everybody. That means really everybody I know who's not really into, who's not a cinephile, but who likes to watch movies. You know, so I've kept these lists. Let me get my screen back on for you. And so if you're asking me those questions, hey. Well, never mind. I closed the window. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Sorry. Technical difficulties. I've kept these lists. So for those of you asking these questions, I know it's a super chat question. I think this is where I would go. There we go. So those are my lists, which I try to curate. I need to go back through these and make sure everything's on there, and I sort of kind of rank them decently. But I bet you would find the foreign films, non-US films that, you know, you would find on here. I have done videos, by the way, Tati, Herzog, Tarkovsky, Ceylan recently, that's going to come out pretty soon. I'm trying to remember all the great directors, and that might help you out too. So I noticed a few of these are non-US, yeah. One of these days I'll get to the Samurai Trilogy. I absolutely love this thing as a whole unit. You can't just watch one movie, you got to watch all three, so they sort of work together and tell a whole full story. I love the artwork in this thing. I can't remember the director, but that's another one of those, and I've always loved that. So there you go. I would look at these lists for that answer, is what I'm saying to you. Thanks for asking. Oh, man. Okay. What else? Chat. Yeah, the direction of Infernal Affairs. Is Infernal Affairs any good? I don't think I liked all the slow-mo, the Hollywoodization, what I would call John Woo stuff. I mean, there is some of that in the movie, in some of that time period. 2002, I believe, is the first Infernal Affairs movie. You know, I think in a way Scorsese cleaned it up, even though he made the movie a lot longer with Departed. It's probably, I won't say the direction is not good. I mean, it's actually quite good because it was affecting to me, but I didn't think some of the stretches in it, segments in it, were, I guess, of my taste. That's probably how I would really put it. But yet, everything was, it's a movie worth watching for several of you. I wish you could make a video about the Coen Brothers. The man who wasn't there. Yeah, I wish I could make a video about all the Coen Brothers movies. So, there you go. Oh, you watched Duck You Sucker on my recommendation and loved it. Good. Yeah, that's a very good movie. I was surprised, too, when I first saw it. How good it was. I mean, for Sergio Leone. But I think that's his sweet spot. That's sort of Once Upon a Time in the West, Duck You Sucker phase. Uh, I like that stretch for him. What are your favorite low-budget sci-fi B movies? God bless you. What a great question. You could just get me going for an hour on this. Let's again, here we'll do this again. I will need to use my lists, okay? So I will go back and I will work through this a little bit. Not too long, but I'll take a tiny bit of time because you asked and you will get me going. I keep a list of what I believe, from my point of view and my biases, top science fiction movies ever. Some of it's conformist and some of it's unusual. And so I'm going to flip through here very quickly. Primer comes to mind as a very low budget time travel movie that's a lot of fun and it goes nuts in the third act. Shane Carruth, who's made 2 science fiction movies, not worked a lot, both of which are worth pursuing. Primer's his first one. I think it's really, really low budget. If I remember correctly, Aronofsky's Pi, his first movie, also like $10,000 was spent to make that. So that's another one. I think it's up here. Pi and Primer. Probably find a couple more. Is Dawn of the Dead low budget? I can't remember. And I'm looking at these. Night of the Living Dead surely was, but most people know that one as the original zombie movie. Boy, oh boy. There's a movie, I was reminded of this because advertising Cube, which I think they're remaking, which is a pretty fun movie where it's just a group of people, all a Survivor, are stuck in a cube, and you don't even know why or who did it. It's like a prison, and they're going from one room in the cube to another to another. It's not great, but it's fun, and it's worth pursuing. Boy, what else? I think Monsters was semi-low budget, if I remember. It does have CGI in it. As for, by the way, other things, I really love terrible science fiction B movies. So, Mystery Science Theater 3000 has plenty. It has a 200 or so. And I mean the old version as well as the new one on Netflix. So, if you're into low budget stuff that's terrible, go check that out. I think it's really fun. But, those are some that come to mind. Can you explain Gnosticism and how it relates to art? Oh, not really. I remember the literary professor from Yale, my goodness, Yale, Harold Bloom, wanted to read a Gnosticism into all the great American artworks, all the great American literary works. I think if you want a movie that semi-believes in Gnosticism, and I mean like an old or ancient version of it, I think the movie Noah by Aronofsky is that. I think so. It's hard to tell, because I'm not an expert on Gnosticism, but I think so. So Noah is probably the most literal and clear depiction of it that you probably find in mainstream Hollywood. And that's, of course, about Noah, the Old Testament figure. It would be let's do that on Discord. Ask me that on Discord. Anybody who wants to go further into stuff, just go to Discord, which is a nice small group at the moment. I like that aspect of it. Discord, check it out. I do have a Discord server, and it's open to anybody. Which conversation? So JJ is asking about the movie Coffee and Cigarettes. The best conversation. So there's probably 10 short vignettes that probably add up, or there's probably some unity or overlap between them, between two people having cigarettes and coffee in a coffee shop. And it's one after the other. It's a great Jim Jarmusch anthology setup. And there's so many that are memorable in this movie. I think the one between Alfred, now I can't remember the actor because I'm spacing, but Alfred Molina and somebody else is a really good one, if I remember correctly. But the Iggy Pop, as I mentioned, Iggy Pop and Tom Waits one is good too. I mean, there's a bunch of them, so it's worth checking out. Yeah. So many great questions here. So many great people in this. This channel seems to attract great people, which is great. Did I like the Departed, like American version of Infernal Affairs? Yes, I have a video on that. Check it out. I do really like that movie, although there's a couple things that I think are stupid. But other than, few things are perfect. Oh, thanks, 200 Watt Studio Super Chat. I think I may be presently where you were at 20 years ago regarding Anatomy of Murder. I was turned off by the odd humor of it. Is there really humor? I feel like it's dark commentary. Is it funny? I didn't laugh at it, Probably would have if there was an audience there with me. I don't know, though. Jimmy Stewart's at his most devilish in that movie. He's not a bad guy, but, he's willing to cheat and lie, which the legal system allows. Yeah, so that... I read it through various things that I've read. I mentioned in my Letterboxd Machiavelli, who I've read all of, and I studied somewhat, and I think, yeah, this movie is sort of about that. Oh, this is great. Yeah, you guys have great comments here. You all should read these. Hi, Alan. Good to see you. Leonard H. says, off topic, but I've seen you have Twitter Blue. Do you think it's worth it? So what I did with that, I like to play around and see if I can maybe get more people to sign up on Twitter. I like Twitter somewhat. Everybody who knows something is there, but I don't like its algorithm. What my feed is. It's too sensational and controversial for me. I do not need that more of that in my life. Twitter Blue's advantages are you can edit your tweets. You have 30 minutes to edit your tweets. You can make long-form tweets. And you can, among other things, it will just, offer your tweet out to more people. It costs $84 for a year. I have a channel budget that is modest, but I can afford $84 for a year to try it out. I tried it out once, got rid of it, and then I'm back on it because I wonder if they've improved it. But if I were an ordinary person, I would not get it. I don't think it's worth it. For someone who has a business, and their business is sort of being online and tweeting at people and getting them to see stuff and getting them to notice things, I would try it for $84, but a year. But I wouldn't if I were just me. Oh, Creative Childs from Egypt. Welcome. I love this channel. It's so great. It's so great there's so many people here. A couple other questions. Alan Watson. Watch Barry Lyndon again. It gets better every time. Yeah, because you know why? I think this is why, by the way, my opinion. The older you get, the more it's like, yeah, there's quite a world weariness in the movie. And it's more for older people than younger, more idealistic people. Kubrick's just going to cut down your idealism. So, yes, there's movies like that and directors like that who are really making things for everybody. And I wonder as they age, like, what are the movies for 70-year-olds that appeal to 70-year-olds? I have an idea, but not being 70 myself, I'm not sure. It's just like being 20 and kind of knowing this movie is middle-aged themes, but I'm not really sure what that is exactly, experientially. And then you get there and you're like, oh yeah, that movie is really, really good. Like Groundhog Day was really good on that, I thought. I saw it when I was 14. I thought it was great, but it means more to me when I'm the age I am. Colossal. What the heck is Colossal? A science fiction movie, a great film, he says. By the way, if you recommend things to me, I will look them up. Is it a monster movie? Wait a minute. Colossal is with Anne Hathaway. Do you really like this? I'm not saying it's bad, but okay, some people like this. I'll put it on the watch list. No, I have not seen it. Is that the one you're talking about? Or is it some other colossal? Because there's 2 or 3. I can't tell. By the way, what makes a good science fiction movie? I do think it's when the plot does, and this is not a scientific term, goes nuts. So the third act has to push the plot, push the premises, push the setting and the plausibility of the future or alternative scenario into some crazy, wacky territory that's sort of, I think, semi-mind-blowing. And that, by the way, is why I didn't like The Matrix as much as most people, because I feel like the end of The Matrix is kind of just a shootout and the inevitable way to get the plot to go where it was going to go in the second act. For The Matrix to go nuts would be to where some of the sequels, in fact, the third Matrix movie went, in messing with the premises. There's a real world. No, it's an illusory world. Now there's a computer world and a real world. The third act should have taken those two. Like, now there's 2 worlds, and you're in the real world, and there's the computer world. Should have taken that and screwed around with that premise, in my opinion. If that were, like, to me, that would be a better science fiction tale. But, hey, The Matrix is famous. Why am I criticizing it? The goes nuts part, though, I think that's, yeah. Primer is good, yes. This was one question here. What makes French cinema French, aside from where it's made? You got me. Yeah, is there some kind of national flavor? Now, of course, the one thing you can get is, like, the historical settings. And, like, oh, English cinema, they love Henry V or Henry IV. Or, like, they're always setting things in ancient England or Anglo-Saxon times. You know, that's obviously the other thing, and besides where it's made. But is there a flavor to French cinema? I actually don't know. It's a generic classification that probably breaks down, especially over time. But yeah, the place of origin is just a way to classify it, and maybe it doesn't make sense for some directors. You know, Kieslowski is Polish, but he's French, in a way. So is he really a French cinema director? I don't know. You know, probably all kinds of messy boundary things going on there. All right. Well, I hope this has been invaluable to you, or helpful at least, and the channel keeps pumping out. I'm working on videos for October. I'm that far ahead, so I'll recommend things to me. Please recommend other things I could do. I thank you so much, Movie Palette, my Substack. Thank you. That's all I can say. See you later. Have a great week, great month, whatever. Hope to see you around again.